From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Our top story, the Department of the Army held 2 listening sessions, one in Anchorage and the other in Fairbanks, to get the opinion of the public about possible soldier reductions at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson and Fort Wainwright.
In both events, the consensus became clear. Community members want nothing to do with losing over 11,000 soldiers and the families they bring with them.
Ryan Grimes went to the Fairbanks session and has the story.
And willingness of Alaskans to support the military's training needs cannot be duplicated anywhere in the United States and possibly in the world.
With the possibility of losing over 5,000 soldiers in Anchorage and just under 6,000 soldiers in Fort Wainwright, community members recommended the Department of the Army to take a no-action alternative inside Alaska.
We believe that our air bridge in the Northern Pacific is best in the world, bar none. But you also have to have people on the ground, and that's our Army.
The United States is under orders to continue reducing its active duty soldiers from 550,000 to 450,000 by fiscal year 2017. If the sequestration cuts continue, another 30,000 soldiers will be phased out. Governor Bill Walker implored the Department of the Army to rethink any military cuts in Alaska, citing the state's strategic location compared to the rest of the nation.
You have to look at Alaska from the top down. Don't look at a surface map. Look at a globe, and you see how we relate to the rest of the world.
Cold Climate Housing Research Center CEO Jack Hebert said leaving military installations with so few personnel would be disastrous.
In Alaska, we've coined the phrase warm basing for discussions such as these. Removing 5,811 Army soldiers and Army civilians and their families and expecting the infrastructure at the installation to remain intact for future activity is just not a realistic plan.
Fairbanks resident Carolyn Wallace asked officials to put into account how Alaska citizens take care of military members like they are family.
She said, well, Ms. Wallace, our soldiers are coming back in the summer, and you know what happens to hotel rooms and bed and breakfast prices in Alaska in the summer. The young lady, her fiance, and the mother-in-law-to-be came to our home in the fall when they got back. Only problem was my husband and I were out of state for the military thing, but we gave her the house, the key, and the key to the car, and said, enjoy your time in Alaska.
This is Ryan Grimes reporting.
2 Fairbanks men who disappeared while hunting have been found. State troopers say 26-year-old Sean Bailey and 39-year-old Clinton Stewart went hunting on snow machines February 22nd near mile 55 Chena Hot Springs Road. After they were reported overdue Monday morning, several agencies started searching for them, including state troopers, village public safety officers, Fort Wainwright, and Wilderness Search and Rescue. Yesterday morning, the hunters, whose snow machines had broke down, were found in good shape with no apparent injuries.
The Fairbanks North Star Borough Assembly will again take up air quality control at tomorrow's regularly scheduled meeting. Ordinance 2015-01 sets control measures designed to improve the borough's air quality during episodes when air is filled with particulate matter, otherwise known as PM 2.5. Since its introduction in mid-January, the ordinance has had a proposed substitute, a public hearing, and a host of amendments. Wood smoke has been declared the primary culprit of the area's pollution, and the ordinance includes fines for using wood as a heat source on days of extremely poor air quality. Assemblyman Lance Roberts, a critic of the measure, equates the burn bans to additional taxes.
What this ordinance overall is a tax. It's for some people for having to turn off their stoves for that many days, which North Pole could have been like 25 days this last year, a huge amount. That's like doubling the property tax on their house for the amount of money you're making them pay by burning oil instead of wood.
When we come back, new information has come forward in a case that has been unsolved for the past 12 years.
Also, Alaska paratroopers are getting ready for a major training operation with some of Canada's best. Those stories and more when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Fbx Evening News. It's been over 12 years since the brutal murder of a Fairbanks woman, Mahogany Davis, and police have yet to make an arrest or even confirm a suspect. The new police chief has intensified the investigation, hoping to close a case that has sat idle for over a decade. Stephanie Woodard has more in part 1 of a 2-part series.
Mahogany Davis was the mother of 3 children. Her family describes her as a people magnet.
Mahogany was my baby sister. Very big personality. People were easily drawn to her.
However, on the eve of Mother's Day 2002, that would all change.
911, what is your emergency?
I just saw a lady outside running across my
She's at Little Dipper, right in front of
1910 Turner?
Yes.
Okay, is there anybody around her?
No.
So do you think she needs an ambulance? Is she unconscious or?
She's unconscious, but I just saw her breathing now. I didn't think she was breathing before.
Davis had been stabbed multiple times and later died at Fairbanks Memorial Hospital.
I just remember setting the phone down and everything just standing still.
Nearly 13 years later, her case remains unsolved. With a new chief of police, her case now sits in his hands.
I found some issues that we need to look at. I decided that we need to intensify the investigation.
Prior to her murder, Davis had been estranged from her baby's father, William Holmes. Holmes has since been convicted of multiple murders.
Their relationship was very volatile. They didn't really get along. She wasn't letting her son go to him.
2 years after her brutal murder, another murder plot involving Holmes and accomplice Jason Wallace was unveiled. But buried in that very interview, Wallace mentioned Mahogany's name. An interrogator asked Wallace, "I know you said he may be involved in another unsolved murder. Do you remember that?" Wallace replied he was talking about making an unsolved mystery. He said, his exact words, he said there was an unsolved mystery with Hogg. Despite the family's concerns, whether or not Holmes was investigated still remains a mystery. Police refuse to say due to the ongoing investigation.
His information is pretty locked up tight right now, and any sort of communication with him is borderline impossible.
Tune in tomorrow for more with Chief Aragon on the case and the new developments he thinks could lead to a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm Stephanie Woodard reporting. Not guilty pleas today for a Fairbanks man who has been indicted yet again by a grand jury. Levi Ratinsky has been in and out of court in recent months, each time facing additional felonies. Multiple indictments have come down, and Ratinsky now faces almost 40 criminal charges, the most serious of which is attempted murder. Ratinsky is charged in the burglary of a Chena Hot Springs Road home. It was there, police say, that he attempted to shoot a returning homeowner, but the gun misfired. New charges allege more burglary and theft from September of last year. Ratinsky remains in jail on a no-bail status.
Over this past week, U.S. Army Alaska paratroopers have been getting ready for a major training operation. Monty Bowen has details now in this week's military report.
The 25th Infantry Division and their joint and international partners prepared to start Operation Spartan Pegasus at the Joint Mobility Complex at J-Bear. A jump master with the Canadian Light Infantry is one of those involved.
Most of the year is, well, from where we're based, it's like subarctic conditions anyways. We're very familiar with working up in the Arctic. I've taught a few courses up in the high Arctic myself. And we're basically subject matter experts, if you want to call it that, dealing with jump master duties and as well with Arctic conditions.
Spartan Pegasus is a multi-component joint military exercise.
Extremely rigorous as far as the amount of effort we have to go through and prepare ourselves physically and mentally, as long as the amount of equipment and the type of equipment we're using. Typical units don't usually jump with the amount and also the type of equipment we use. So therefore, additional effort is required for skis, for snowshoes, and the additional layering that we're going to have to do in a subarctic environment.
The training validates U.S. Army Alaska's unique capacity to conduct airborne operations and ground mobility in extreme Arctic conditions. This is Monty Bowen reporting.
The Military Report is brought to you by Stanley Nissan. Innovation for all.
All right, Daryl, we have to say welcome back from your nice vacation.
Yeah, it was
good
fun.
to have a partner again.
Awesome. Glad to be back.
All right, well, Joe Cook is up next with news on the status of the Iditarod restart and other mushing events.
Plus, you'll hear from the Iron Dog leaders after the break.
Welcome back, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here with your local Wednesday sports. We've been enjoying a pretty mild winter, and despite that cold snap a couple weeks back, it's been nice, but this weather has been a hindrance for multiple marquee mushing events. The Iditarod restart will be on Monday on March 9th, but it may move from the Chena River in front of Pikes Landing to an overland trail that will connect to the Tanana River. Currently, there's plenty of open water floating and thin ice in the area. The hope is that things will cool down before March 9th. Hopefully they will. The GCI Open North American Championship scheduled for March 20th have moved their start to the Jeff Studdert Race Grounds instead of the traditional downtown Fairbanks start because of lack of snow. The limited North American scheduled a week earlier will also start at the Jeff Studdert Race Grounds. Recently, the Ferrandi was canceled because of lack of snow and poor trail conditions in Anchorage in the south central area of Alaska, but there will be a dedication ceremony for the late great George Atla this Saturday at noon at 4th Avenue and D Street in Anchorage. And during our broadcast last night, the first Iron Dog team made it into Nome. Team 20 of Scott Feo and Eric Quam checked into Nome at 6:21 on Tuesday. The duo gets $10,000 for being the first to the halfway point. Aaron Bartell and Scott Davis came in 17 minutes later for second. Close race here. Early this morning, some local teams came into Nome. Tyler Huntington and Todd Palin just before 1 a.m. They are in 10th place. Fairbanks' Chris Carroll and Ray Shafassis are 15th, while the Fairbanks team of Ryan Folsom and Tony Green are 17th. 7 teams have scratched, including Sonny and Yorick Linder of Fairbanks, and the only female team of Rachel Kidwell and Ashley Wood. Even for the leaders, it's been a pretty rough race.
We spent 40 minutes sitting there screwing with that other kid's sled than ours, so I don't know, basically just keeping it clean. I think there's gonna be carnage on the way back, definitely.
Make sure he could move everything and make sure if we needed to, are we calling a helicopter or are we putting the sled back together? So, and of course Scott's a pretty competitive guy. He said, "Leave me the hell alone and grab my sled."
We just slowed down a little bit trying to take care of our iron. We got to get this stuff that's got another 1,000 to go, and we got to make sure it's going to get there.
And today, 5 Nanuks qualified for the NCAA Division II Swimming and Diving Championships. Senior Margot Adams, sophomores Nye Wynn and Victoria Adams, and freshmen Martha Hood and Katie Stark. Margot Adams will be in the 100 butterfly, and she'll be on the 200 and 400 medley relay teams. Victoria Adams and Wynn are in both relays. Stark will swim in the 400 medley relay, and Hood in the 200 medley relay. National start March 11th in Indianapolis. And despite a flight delay, 6 Ice Dogs made an impact at the NCAA Prospect Showcase in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Tuesday, the Midwest Division team, they won 5-3 over the North Division squad. Johnny Mueller had 3 assists, and Lonnie Clare, he added 2 helpers as well. Yannick Fidel, he scored an empty netter, and Hans Garosa, he also had an assist in the win. Chandler Maudry, he assisted on the game-tying goal and converted his first shootout attempt for the NAHL Selects team in their 3-2 shootout win over the U17 Team USA squad. The Ice Dogs will face the Johnstown Tomahawks at the Dipper this weekend. Now we have a high school basketball recap from Tuesday night. Check it out. We start at Lathrop High School for a non-conference doubleheader. The Lathrop girls were ahead 17-14 at the half, but used a 7-0 run to start the third, which was key. Monroe's Andy Clark led the Rams for 14 points. They hung around the second half, but Lathrop just a little bit too much as they go on to win 53-39. Cheyenne Diver scored a game-high 15 points for Lathrop in the win. In the boys' game, this looked to be the game of the night, but it didn't turn out that way. It was an 11-11 game with 2:02 in the first quarter, but Lathrop was held scoreless for 20 minutes in real time as the Rams went on a 17-0 run. Jalen McCullough had a game-high 22 points for the Rams, who win 70-40 over Lathrop. Over at Hutchinson High School, an emotional senior night. 9 seniors were honored before a doubleheader against the Allison Ravens, 5 seniors on the girls team and 4 on the boys team. There were tears as former boys basketball coach Marcy Williamson surprised the seniors before tip-off. In the girls' contest, Hutch handled business, leading 16-6 at the end of the first, and that lead would increase from there, forcing turnovers with their press and scoring. Senior Ashley Stark scored 16 points, and fellow senior Katie Peterson scored a game-high 18 in a 73-35 win over the Ravens.
We feel pretty good. We feel like we can do pretty good in regionals and that we can accomplish what we want to.
The boys' game would be a lot closer. Allison acting as spoilers on Hutchinson senior night. They led 27-21 at the end of a high-scoring first quarter. Dylan Scarborough had a monster 28-point game for the Ravens, but Hutchinson held the Ravens to 7 points in the second quarter. Mike Benson, a senior, led 5 other Hawks in double figures with 20 points. Hutchinson wins on senior night, holding off the upstart Ravens in a 85-77 win. The Hawks get the Aurora Conference sweep. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Mike Schultz is next with your full weather forecast, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fbx Evening News. Mike Schultz with you once again live from the Ice Park, and I'm standing next to a pillar of the community, somebody that everybody knows around town, and also on the board of directors for the Ice Alaska, Wally Cox. Wally, it's good to have you with us tonight.
Glad to be here.
And I'm going to talk to Wally right now as we look at some of the video that we shot earlier this week of what's going on here at the ice park. And we're going to talk about how Ice Park actually got developed, how they created it. What sparked it out, Wally?
When I was president of the chamber, I wanted to do something that would influence positively the economy of this community from the January to April timeframe. I knew it was an artsy town. They would appreciate art, but the economy, that was the driver to get the economy started. We didn't have a winter tourism draw. If you didn't make the money in the summertime so you couldn't go to Palm Springs or Hawaii, then you went to the gas pump, the Safeway, a restaurant, went to church, you know, that sort of thing. But it's been successful because we have achieved both. The growth of this event has attracted people worldwide. It is the premier ice sculpting event in the world. You know, the Chinese, the Japanese do ice construction and they fall out the army to do that, but this is pure ice art. And so it has a wide range, but its effect on from that January to April black hole economically, it has had a tremendous impact on the Fairbanks community. So, you know, each year when I set the hook in Dick Brickley's mouth, I couldn't have got it in a better guy to sustain this thing. Yeah. And you know, I'm a board member and I do the fundraising and marketing and things like that, and I'm happy to be associated with it. I just invite everybody in Fairbanks to come out here and see this thing.
Well, thanks for your vision, and thanks for, like I said, being such a great member of the community. And like I said, it's going to be an incredible Ice Alaska this year. We have a lot of things to talk about, and again, thanks for coming with us and joining us.
Couldn't be better time spent.
All right. Let's take a look at the weather right now and see what's going on as far as our conditions. First of all, we'll take a look at our photograph tonight. This one's sent in by Dorothy Loiza, a flaming sunrise. That's right, another beautiful photograph, another beautiful sunrise. Photos at ktvf11.com. If you have a photo you want to share with us, by all means, send it to us. And as far as our conditions right now, well, it's 25 degrees, believe it or not. That's our high for the day. The low last night, 8 degrees. Record high, 47 in 1921. Record low, 51 below in 1932. Sunrise and sunset, about 9 hours and 47 minutes. That's a gain of 7 minutes from yesterday. On our satellite and radar, we have a little bit of activity moving in from the west. Got to keep an eye on that because that's going to be bringing winter storm warnings to the west coast of Alaska, but not in the interior. Just maybe a few flurries and maybe a light snow possibly on Saturday. As far as what's going on across the rest of the state, well, it's warm over Ketchikan, 43 degrees there in the Anchorage area. They're looking at mostly sunny skies, 33, 40 degrees down in Kodiak, and along the Aleutian chain, Cold Bay at 38. Up and down the west coast, 25 around Nome, 21 degrees at Barrow, above zero in February. Can you believe that? And Fort Yukon at 16. Lower 48 weather real quickly. We're looking at quite a bit of weather going on across the lower 48, mainly over the northeast and the southeast of all places. We'll go to that satellite and radar right now and show you what's going on there because that kind of gives you an indication of what's happening. Look at the pinks and the yellows and the greens and everything. A lot of storminess going on across the deep south, and it's all being brought in from the jet stream. The jet stream is once again bringing quite a bit of snow. As you can see, places like Atlanta and Birmingham, Alabama looking for maybe 3 to 6 inches of snow. How about that? And the overall jet stream, again, once again, the picture there, you see the jet stream is very widespread, bringing all that moisture from the west to the east. Okay, what's going on across Alaska? Well, over the northern sections, once again, we're looking at the winter weather advisory for Barrow, winter storm warning for Nome, and 4 to 6 inches of snow in Nome, cloudy skies at Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, for the most part, partly cloudy for Fairbanks and Healy, isolated snow showers in the morning for Delta. And over southeast Alaska, we'll be looking at, for the most part, chance of rain for Juneau and rain developing in Ketchikan. Okay, once again, time to take a look at our kids' weather because we're going to be getting a little bit shorter time here. I want to let you know that we have a young lady tonight that's going to be showing us a really cool picture that she drew. We'll share that with you right now from Weller Elementary School. Okay.
Hi, my name is Emma, and I'm in Miss Ross' 4th grade class at Weller Elementary, and this is my picture. I used crayons and a Sharpie, and it's a cloudy day, and these are the little sand. Yeah.
And again, thanks Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring our kids' weather. Tomorrow night, a young man will be here talking and asking a question about thunder snow. Our forecast for tonight, again, looking at temperatures a little cooler, 1 degree below zero, clouds and fog slowly diminishing and colder. And tomorrow's forecast, looking at, once again, patchy morning fog, otherwise mostly cloudy, 21 degrees. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you, Mike. And we have run out of time for all of us here at the News Center. We hope you have a great night.